Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the first and pilot episode, I guess, of Dragons and Dungeons. My name is Scott. I'm going to be your dungeon master for this evening. And no, we're not a band of nerdy ass voice actors who are sitting around playing Dungeons and Dragons. We are a band of nerdy ass gamers who got together from one game who's then come to another game to roll dice and play Dungeons and Dragons, I guess. Anyway, tonight I am joined by four of my close friends who, as I've said, are members of the 8th Dragon Squadron, a player group based in Elite Dangerous who have been playing Elite Dangerous and now Dungeons and Dragons for cumulative about 5 years. Adam, if you'd please like to introduce yourself and your character very quickly for me.
Yeah. I'm me. Uh, I play Victorlus. He's a shadow, Mark the Shadow elf, ranger. Um, Tall, dark hair, kind of moody, but good with a bow. Um, yeah, he's sort of a bit of a reluctant leader, as it seems, of our merry band of men.
From and David Neftari, if you would like to introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I play Neftari. He's a beast hide shifter druid who's mostly just in it for the gold, which he'll probably spend on beer and women.
And Evelyn Temple, if you would like to introduce your character, please.
Hello, I am Evelyn, and Temple is a Warforged Paladin. Think of him as a 7 foot tall, 500 pound, walking, talking suit of armor. Hobbies include kicking doors down, long walks on the beach, and not having a clue what he's doing.
I think that's all of us, to be fair.
Um,
And Talar, if Diana, if you would also like to introduce yourself and your character for this evening.
Greetings, this is Diana. I played Talar. She is a white-scaled Dracovian. She's aligned to Saloon, the moon goddess. And she's often very quiet, but when people push her to her limits, she will become fairly outspoken.
Sorry, 2 seconds. Apparently, people cannot hear you. That just shouldn't be the case because you're.
Test,
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Andy, if you could keep me updated on whether or not that is the case. It's popping up on my side. But very quiet. Cool. Let me go ahead and just change the output of the volume here on OBS, and we'll see if that makes any difference. If you can hear him, but it was very quiet. We'll try that. Anyway, but thank you so much for your introductions, guys. Now, last time we played, last week, you had recently completed your quest going to the Zephyr Swamp, where you'd been tasked with attaining a couple of strange-looking rocks from what we were told by an individual who identified himself as Adan. He and his adventuring party had been tasked by, from what he had explained, a necromancer to receive these rocks from the Azafra swamp and bring them back, but were ambushed by some large monstrosity who almost took his life and one of his companions' life, and from what they seemed had taken the life of their third adventuring companion. as you went out to the Zafra Swamp and actually came across these rocks, upon closer inspection, you determined that they were in fact eggs of some sort. You had unfortunately stumbled across what seemed to be the nesting grounds of a pair of mating hydra, who almost instantaneously attacked you upon encroaching on their nests. Successfully managing to defend yourselves and slay both the hydras, you collected several of the eggs, more than enough for what you would need for Adan, also for some personal gain as well. You then managed to find Exum, the third and seemingly lost member of Adan's party, who had survived his encounter after being separated, set up a makeshift camp and some traps in order to defend himself from the wilderness. You escorted him back to Stilben and allowed him to rejoin his party with Adan and Zara. They thanked you for completing their quest for them and returning their party member to them alive. Received your reward for the quest and went on about your business. At the end of the night, however, the temple, during your inactive state, when you were as a sentry, keeping watch over the rest of your party as they were resting for the night, a unnatural darkness obscured your vision, which lasted for quite some time. And the next thing you realized as you guys woke up were you were not in your usual location. You were not in the Azure Blade, the inn that you had been residing in for the last couple of nights. Upon leaving your new surrounding and being escorted along, you were actually in the HQ of the Clasp, the Thieves Guild, the primary Thieves Guild that is running the operations in the city of Stilben. They are Joga, the black-scaled dragonborn leader, who inadvertently made some mistakes remembering the timeline as to how much time had passed in the last few weeks of gameplay before. Definitely not my fault. Said some really inappropriate things to you, but actually managed to come up with a plan with yourselves in order to potentially lure out the Myriad, members of the Myriad, to try and convince them, intimidate them, persuade them, however you want to put it, but get them to divulge the information of their primary caravan as it travels throughout the realm of Tal'Dorei. You had set up a plan, and before parting ways, Victorlas and Joga actually went off into a side room to have a private conversation, whereas the rest of you, Temple, Nithitari, and Talar, you had moved over to get yourself something to eat and something to drink before waiting for Victorlas to return to you in order to continue with your plan, in order to ascertain the location of the Myriad's caravan. And this is where we pick up. So what would you all like to do?
You know, I've realised something. This squirrel on a stick, it's absolutely indistinguishable from rat on a stick. How's your beef?
I'd stay away from that food. It doesn't look healthy.
As you're actually mentioning this, the chef who's actually behind the serving table, which the three of you are set at, actually turns around and looks to you. We may be below the city, but we're not savages. This isn't a squirrel, and this isn't rat. It's dog, actually.
I'm not really sure about that. Can I get an insight check?
Yes.
That doesn't look like a duck. That looks like squirrel to me.
It said dog, not duck. Dog.
Oh.
D-O-G.
Okay. Okay. Not too bad then.
That's okay. Why did you say it was a squirrel before?
We use that as a an initiation of sorts, I guess. See if you're actually willing to eat squirrel on a stick. But
I was willing to eat rat on a stick.
not everyone is able to stomach squirrel, or in your case, rat. But we are underground. We don't have immediate access to really fine meats, so we make do with what we can get.
Anyway, Victorious still hasn't come out. What do you think's going on in there? You don't think he needs rescuing or something?
I'm sure I'll be out soon.
I have a feeling he could take care of himself if necessary.
Still, though, we are surrounded by people who aren't necessarily friendly. I don't really like being.
Yeah, did Yoga seem a little off to you? As if he wasn't quite the same person he was last time we met him?
I feel like he had forgotten some of the things he told us previously.
Yeah, some of the stuff he was saying, there was one point where his guards looked uncomfortable as well. As if what he was saying wasn't quite adding up. Oh, unless they were just wondering whether to murder us, but it felt more like they were confused about what their leader was.
These men are a thieves' guild. Their leader is the leader of a thieves' guild. When can we really ever be sure about whether even they know the truth behind what they're saying? Come on, let's go find Victoralis and get out of this place. And perhaps find the people we've been tasked to hunt.
At this point, could I get Temple, Talar, and Nethrai to all roll me perception checks, please? And that would help if I actually was able to scroll down. They were much better. And I actually need to bring up something else on my tertiary screen here, because I've forgotten the modifier for something here. Extremely professional DM here, of course.
Oh, extremely.
Oh, shush, you're not supposed to agree with me. Where is it? There it is. Where's the modifier here? And Victorious, if you could go ahead and roll me a stealth check, please.
I sure can.
I would sincerely hope the people like you, Temple, Nethari, and Talar, are you all updated for your level up to 11th level?
Yep.
Yes.
I think so.
I get stronger every day.
Cool. Oof, that's a natural one from it.
Sure is. Skills.
Ouch.
As you guys, Talar, Nethari, and Temple, as you guys are, you're having your discussion and you're preparing yourself to actually get up and head over to the room to see how Victorious is doing. You actually catch, as you turn around, you actually catch a glimpse of Victorious's face as the light rays from the torches in the area reflects off him, as he seems to be trying to sneak his way towards you. Victorious, as you're approaching your party, trying to be as stealthily as you can, trying to put your newly learned techniques into play, you notice, you come to the conclusion that you've not been as successful as you'd hoped on your first attempt. You have been spotted, but with time, hopefully things will improve for you.
Well, this thieving thing's a lot more difficult than it looks. How's everyone doing?
Are you trying to creep up on us?
No,
I'm sure
no,
you'll get
no.
better.
No, I wouldn't try and creep on you guys.
It's at this point that from like as you guys approach Victorilas from the darkness from behind Victorilas, a dark figure just seems to almost phase into existence as Joga steps out from the darkness. You'll learn in time, Victorilas. Just
Yeah.
remember, your body is also a canvas. Do whatever you can to make yourself as indistinguishable from anyone else.
Interesting. I shall learn a lot from this. I'm going to try and be invisible.
Go ahead and roll me a stealth check at
no.
disadvantage.
Uh,
6. You guys watch as Temple takes a couple of steps back and then puts his hands up to his face and covers his eyes.
Temple is no more.
Looks just like a big stone statue.
Yes,
Slur's face palming.
They can't see me if I can't see.
that is a perfect vanishing act you have there, my metal friend. Very well done. And Joga just looks over to the rest of you and just shakes his head, completely unconvinced.
I'm gonna pick up a small stone from the floor, just a tiny pebble, and just gently throw it at Temple.
No problem. Any reaction, Temple? As a small pebble just strikes you in the chest.
Absolutely not. I'm completely inanimate, as I always am.
You have learned the master of being so completely still, you become invisible to the naked eye.
God.
Drax references. Hey! And as Temple remains there with his hands across his eyes, seemingly completely invisible, Joga just looks to the rest of you. So, we will reconvene tonight. Do whatever you wish during the day. Find out whatever you can. If you find out any information, regardless if it is next to nothing or even nothing, leave a marker, as we agreed, on the window to your room. I will make my way to you. Yes?
What did we have to do again? Was it put a black rag at the window?
Yes, a black rag out the window to signify that you are seeking my counsel. I will make my way to you. And hopefully we may have some uninvited guests when we get there. If not, we will continue to do this every night or every few nights before, hope not before too long, the Myriad catches on to what we're doing and tries to crash the party, I guess. And then we will do whatever we can. Maybe put an apple on someone's head and shoot arrows at them in order to get them to talk. Isn't that right, Victorilas?
That's a horrendous and inhumane idea. I love it.
Tar just kind of glances and slightly glares at him. Like, really?
Sometimes the right thing to do is not exactly the right thing. Anyway, I'm sure you know your way out from here. I wish you good luck in your in the next few days of adventure seeking, I guess. Before
Do
long,
we know our way out from here?
you do. You were escorted to the initial way out, like which takes you up into Stilben before Joga escorted you out to the far northwest of Stilben.
Okay.
So, do you guys want to leave, or are you still sticking around within the clasp for now?
How's the food, guys? A little bit peckish myself.
You'll have to ask Neftari. I, of course, don't eat, although if I had such thing as an appetite, this food would not give me one.
The
It's
squirrel
not
on
too
a
bad.
stick- The squirrel on a stick is particularly good.
I had steak. It was fine.
Squirrel on a stick. Yeah, I'll give that a miss. I'm sure I'll find something up above ground.
Before we leave the Thieves Guild, of course, is there perhaps someone around selling loot? Presumably there's an armory, a shop, or is it all just turned into gold and sent away?
Joker just looks over to you. For the most part, we have a basic armory. Some daggers, short swords, bows, arrows, and crossbows. But anything of potential value is immediately sold. So I highly doubt you'll have anything that we will want from our stores anyway.
Well,
Nothing that's anything
could I
superior
perhaps-
to what you all have on you anyway.
Could I perhaps, seeing as we'll be back here again, could I perhaps have the name of someone to ask to look out for something for me? If someone comes across anything that's particularly strong against the undead, I'd love to get my hands on it.
Of course. He turns around and just like motions over. One of the other class members come over and whispers something in their ear to them. The other member of the class just nods and looks for a few moments like they're trying to memorize something before they then take off. I have an idea as to what you might be looking for something that's better against the undead. You are a paladin, correct?
I am.
I will see if my companions are able to dig something up.
Look, if you're
Yes,
just going to
okay.
go visit Ermler up there, we know where she's based, and she's particularly good.
Ermleth
Best-
does not
best of
have.
it.
She has some good products. Do not get me wrong. But she does not have something that your paladin frontier is looking for. I can guarantee you that.
Is that something a necromancer would come up with by any chance?
No. Necromancers deal in raising the dead and using the undead as a means of control. They wouldn't want to have a blade that would be more effective against slaying fiends and the undead. That would be counterproductive.
Yeah. So, what, necromancers are bad then?
Well, it depends on what they're doing. If they are looking to raise an army of the undead in order to take over a city, then yes, they're quite bad. But if they're only using their necromantic powers in order to, as an example, raise the dead for personal servants to do mediocre or mundane tasks, I mean, it's still quite an evil thing. It is seen as raising the dead. But
Sounds
they're
to
done
me
not
like
being evil
slavery.
themselves.
I mean, we should probably have checked out just who we were doing that little errand for before. Well, never you mind about that. We'll return to the service anyway.
Well, if that is the case, and if there is nothing more that I or my companions can do for you, I bid you a good day. And Victorious, just keep practicing, yes?
Oh, I will, and we'll be in touch with you soon.
Okay, and with that, you guys are heading back up into the surface of Stillman, yeah?
Yes, and I'm going to valiantly lead the way.
Okay.
Talara is still guarding her egg.
Mm-hmm. With that, could you go ahead and roll me an animal handling check? 20, very nice. Where's the document I have here that I've been tracking this?
Guys, what do you think that necromancer wanted the Hydra eggs for?
I'd
Some of
prefer
them
not to
on-
think about it.
Yeah, I've
It
been
does-
wondering that myself, and as Talar says, possibly best not to wonder too much about that one.
I'm really curious. I'm gonna guess he wasn't just making an omelette.
Killing the Hydras was easy. If he makes them really strong and powerful, we'll kill them again. And then if he resurrects them, well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Hydras.
Actually, I wonder if there's any eggs left. I didn't expect them to sell for quite so much. We could go back and see if we can get them.
I think you've got enough gold for now, Neftari.
Never got enough gold.
At least spend it first.
Which brings us to the other point. Have you still got that chest?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Looks kind of heavy.
It's very heavy. It's full of gold.
Should really get
Maybe.
that liquidated into platinum or something, just so that
Okay.
your coins are, your pockets, or rather backpack, is a little less heavy.
Yeah, we should split this up and everybody should carry a bit. Then again, you might steal it from me.
Well, as I understand it, the best place we should start looking is towards the harbour. If we make our way there, perhaps we'll find somewhere suitable to get that changed up for you.
We could spend it on weapons. And
We
go
could.
to the tavern and get really drunk. Get a couple of lady friends.
Or, as I understand it, the less than lawful denizens of cities like this may perhaps be persuaded to give us information regarding the Myriad Thieves Guild that we're searching for, with a little bit of coin.
I mean,
Just an
that's
idea.
more than a little bit of coin.
Well, I think we should spend it on jewels, fine clothing.
Why would we need to make ourselves more flashy than we already are? I don't think that's the point.
Force to dazzle our enemies. Why, they'll take one look at us and go, my goodness, they must have so much gold and be so powerful to have such incredible, dazzling weapons. And to do so in a city full of thieves, they must be brave, they must be powerful. Let us not fight them.
It must be bloody stupid.
I think
No,
it would
yeah.
go the other way.
Yeah, it didn't work out too
Yeah.
well for me last time.
In this city, at least we need to pretend to be poor. Oh, I wish I had some gold. All I've got is this chest full of ash from my
Why
dead
do you
friend.
Sorry.
Sorry?
The perfect poker. Definition.
You've gotten really quiet.
Yes, cunt here.
Oh, sorry, I was just whispering quietly to myself about I have the perfect poker face. And how I'm not very good at acting, so I'm not going to be able to help you convince people that isn't a chest of gold, but at the very least, shall we move forward and get somewhere?
Yes, we bloody should now. Right. We on the streets yet? Is there anything? That
Yeah,
we
as
can
you guys have ascended through the belly of Stilben, and you've come across what looked to be a padlocked gate. But as Victorlas, as you with your newly developed skills and teachings from Joga approach the gate itself, and because you're used to seeing this yourself as well as you cast the cantrip many a times, you see that the padlock itself is actually an illusion. So the gate itself, even though from any passerby looking at it, it would seem that it's just a locked gate into the sewers of Stilben. It's like the gate itself is solid, but it's not padlocked. It's actually completely open.
Damn, it's padlocked. I'm gonna shake the gate.
Go ahead and roll me a stealth check. Sorry, strength check, not stealth. 21. You rattle the gate quite loudly. The bar itself that is actually keeping the gate latched and preventing it from swinging open, rattles a few times and bounces off the rock, but doesn't actually budge, surprisingly.
Well, this thing's closed forever.
Stealthily done, Temple. I'm going to walk up and see if there's a latch or something on it that I can just undo to open the gate.
Yeah, like the illusion itself is of a chain with a padlock that seems to be going through a metal latch that just slides into a cutout in the brick. And as you grab the latch, you just slide it to the side, and the chain just phases clean through the chain. You pop the gate open. You all step outside, and Victorlas, as you come out last, close and latch the gate. The chain returns to its natural-looking illusionary position, and I mean, yeah, you take another step back and take a look at it, and if anyone were to just pass by, I'd give it a quick glance, and no one would be any of the wiser thinking that it's just a closed and locked gate. As you guys look around, it's not into like the city centre. It's just on the outskirts of Stilben. There are a few people that are dotted about, and they can, like, you do get some curious glances your way as people are walking by as to why 4 individuals have just stepped out from the sewers. But none of you actually, no one actually questions your intent as they just continue on with their daily business.
So then we head towards the harbour. Yoga said that's probably the most likely place we'll draw some attention.
Might as well.
And just to be clear here, we're drawing attention so that the Thieves Guild, the Myriad, spot us and try and cause trouble.
Yeah, I think the best way of trapping them is to have them think they've trapped us.
And what exactly are we going to do? Just wander from the harbour shouting about how much money we have?
Well, let's keep an eye out first of all and see if we can deal with that massive chest of gold that Neftari's got.
This massive chest of ash that Neftari's got.
Yes, this
Chest
massive,
of ash.
heavy chest full of plant matter.
Yes. Yeah, the ashes of my dead friend.
I thought you said hash.
That's what we could spend the money on.
The drugs, alcohol, and hookers. Absolutely.
Sounds like a fine night.
No, I'm just gonna face palm. Of course, being a huge steel automaton, I'm sure you all just hear a loud clang.
We should find a tailor, a seamstress or something.
You're going to spend that much money at a seamstress's.
I'm gonna spend a lot
This
of
I
money.
have to see. Let's go. You want a piggyback?
Okay.
All right, let's go. Hop aboard.
Take a
To the
run and
nearest
jump.
tailor.
Talar looks over at Victorales and is just like, this is not going to end well.
Well, it hasn't started well, so
You have a point.
Has Neftari gotten on my back?
Yeah, go ahead and roll me a strength check, please, Temple. See if you're actually able to keep Neftari on your back.
Athletics check or something?
No, just a flat strength check. An 18. Yeah, no, with you're a 500-pound metal and wood warforged, picking up a beast hide and having a beast hide ride on your on a piggyback ride doesn't seem to phase you, even with this large, hefty chest of ash of his fallen friends that he has in his possession. But you're able to keep him on your back as you now head to your next destination.
But the reason I was wanting to tailor it was I was thinking I could get some pockets sewn into my cloak, and also I've got some more fangs and talons and stuff. I obviously want those added to the cloak as well.
Can you imagine the weight if your clothes were entirely fully lined with gold?
Ooh. That would
Imagine the defensive capabilities of something like that. Chainmail made just out of money.
Don't give him ideas.
Oh, it's genius. I've thought it out. Just need to find a way to thread money.
And have him dragged away in the middle of the night for his clothing.
Well, I'll be attached to him.
I'll be interested to see what you can do
Maybe
with
we
that
could
cloak.
gold plate me.
Should we follow them and make sure they don't get into trouble? More trouble.
Sorry, hit me with a gold piece. See if you can make a gold coin stick to my forehead.
Oh god.
Are you going to do that, Neftari?
Go for it.
Alright, go ahead and roll me a... How are we going to do this? Sure. Just go ahead and roll me a flat d20, please.
Use all your might, Neftari.
17. Does 17 hit your armor class, Temple?
I bet it doesn't.
I don't think it does it?
23.
23. Yeah, no, because even though you're like perched on Temple's back, you managed to draw one of your gold coins from your coin purse that you had previously, and just like as you're about ready to launch it down onto Temple's skull, it takes quite a large step, and it just jostles your movement, and as you let go, the coin just spins off and scatters about 15-20 feet away, where as you look up and watch, a half-elven gentleman who's quite well dressed kind of just like stops, picks up the gold coin, puts it in his pocket, and fucks off.
Dave!
Oh, stop. You have enough as it is.
Okay, try again.
Doesn't make it okay. Stop that guy. Oi! Come back!
Just leave it alone.
Got my
Drawing
gold!
enough attention to yourself as it is.
As you're like on Temple's back, like grasping onto this chest of gold, you're just, he's got my gold, pointing into the distance, and people just glance over at you like, what the that man is riding a suit of armor, and just ignore you and walk away, more concerned with the fact that you're having a piggyback ride on an animated suit.
Nay.
It's a new kind of
Nobody
horse for you.
goes
Sorry.
Is nobody going to help me get my gold back?
Maybe I could summon my horse, then I could ride my horse while you're piggybacking on me.
I'm gonna pick up my pace and walk slightly ahead of this. Put my hood
I'm
up.
going to follow you.
You know what? Never mind. It takes me 10 minutes to cast that spell. Come on, let's
It does
go.
take you 10 minutes to cast Find Steed.
Maybe later. But now I shall be your steed.
Useless steed, you're going the wrong way after the half elf.
Yes.
So, what is your intended destination at the moment, guys?
Well, we're going to be harbour bound, but on the way we will keep an eye out for
A
some kind
glorious
of,
seamstress.
yeah, some kind of clothing or seamstress shop of sorts, and also if there's any kind of merchant or bank or something around where we can get all this gold changed into something a little bit more manageable.
Okay, as you progress, I would like everyone to go ahead and roll me a perception check.
Does
This might be a
Neftari get
decent-
it at advantage for being on a position of height?
No.
Might be a decent place to get a sling made. So
17, 10, 19, 17. Okay. So, Neftari, Victorlas, and Talar, as you guys are progressing down, heading harbour bound, you don't come across a bank. As you since you've not spent that much time in Stilben, a couple of you even stop and actually inquire with the water guard and some of the denizens who are walking past you about a bank, and there doesn't actually seem to be one. From what you can gather as you travel down and inquire with people, people in the water guard, there was, however, with the Thieves Guild being so active in the city, people are more inclined to either store their prized possessions and gold in their homes or outside the city in kind of secret locations where the Thieves Guild wouldn't have immediate access to potentially hundreds of thousands of gold pieces from all of the denizens of Stilben. So there's no actual bank per se. However, you do spot a what looks to be a clothier store. It's just called the Weave, and on the front you can see the signpost. It looks like two bundles of what looks to be like a wool that has like crochet needles draped through them, with the threads kind of interlacing over the sign with the title across the front.
Well,
Promising?
I'm
that
going
looks
to
like-
begin walking into the store.
Okay, so as
No
you
way
as
to
you
pull
as
up
as,
from the Yan Temple.
no, as you open the door, completely disregarding the fact that Neftari is still on your back, and it makes you several feet taller with him as extension. Neftari, can you roll me a dex save, please? 15. Yeah, no, you're like you see the the store as Temple approaches it, and you're thinking to yourself, yeah, no, this looks like a really good place to get the fangs and claws and talons and such added to my collection on my cloak. And you watch as Temple gets to the door and opens it, and you slowly come to the realization that I'm still on his back. He's about to enter this door. You push off. You manage to land on your feet, and can you actually call high or low for favorable conditions?
High.
High. Very good. I rolled a fucking 99 there. Holy shit. You manage to land, and you actually catch the off handle of your chest before it hits the deck and scatters several thousand of your gold pieces all over the place. So you're fine with your gold at the moment. And I'm assuming everyone else is following inside the Weave with Temple?
How close are we to the actual kind of harbour area at this
The
point?
harbour, you're probably a couple of minutes walk. You've been walking for about 20 minutes to get to this point as you've gone through the central thoroughfare of Stilben. You're close enough to the dock where you can smell the salt of the salt water from the sea, and you can hear like the seagulls cawing overhead as you're getting close, but you're not quite there, not yet.
Okay. I'm just going to turn to the rest of the guys and well, Neftari, if you want to get your cloak decorated with your new trinkets, shall we say? I've got a little plan. I'm gonna head down towards the harbour and make a few inquiries about whether any of the merchants from any of these ships would be able to change up that gold. It might get ears and tongues wagging, make a bit of attention for us.
Okay. Sure you don't want your cloak upgraded?
I'm more than happy with my cloak as it is.
You can always start an upgrade.
I've got my fluffy hood. I've got my beautiful embroidered edging. Anything I do to this cloak, I think would spoil it now.
Pockets.
Pockets. My quiver serves a purpose. It's quite enough for me.
Okay.
I think I'll stay here and see about getting a sling of some sort, a pouch made, so that I can actually use my armor again.
Okay, so Victorious, you're breaking away from the party and heading down to the harbour. Temple, Neftari, and Talar, you guys are heading into the Weave. Is that correct?
Yes.
Perfect. Cool. So we'll start off with the three of you first. You split away from Victorious, entering into the building. It's a very small build room. It's not like several stories tall. It's just like a single large room that extends about 30-40 feet back. But running along the walls as you cross the threshold, there are like a multitude of different yarns, just like different tools for just basic knitting, crocheting, sewing. Like it's like rainbows of different colors. As you like press through, not needing any of the that kind of equipment for yourself. Behind the main desk, there is a female halfling that's actually perched up on a stool, who's currently just needles in her hand and is just working away on a piece that's actually trailing onto the desk and then flows off and then onto the floor. She just kind of glances up like, "Oh, hello there. What can I do for you?"
Don't know.
Funny question.
What are you working on?
Oh, this is just a blanket for my sister. She's expecting soon, so
Congratulations to her.
thank you. And upon your question, Temple, Halfling just kind of glances over to you and a boy actually, and she just kind of glances at the other two of you and just like, what kind of question was that? What is she expecting? So is there anything I can help you with today?
Is it a magic blanket?
No, unfortunately. Any enchantments that I put on my projects, I sell them to the people that commission me for them.
That was my second question, actually. Do you do magic blanket?
Well, blankets not so much because they don't really have that much of a use. But I am able to make together other magical clothing, like artifacts of clothing and like units of transport and such.
Please excuse my friend. He's not very clever. So what were you expecting this boy to do anyway?
Be born? Is he okay?
Talar's just kind of sitting there dumbfounded at the other two and slightly facepalm. Please,
please
forgive
excuse me.
them.
I've never experienced this kind of thing before. I wasn't even sure how you flesh-based life forms even reproduced. Please forgive me.
A flesh. That's not a suit of armor.
That's him. That's,
Yeah, he's actually real. And she reaches over and lightly, like, taps on his shoulder, making metallic noises.
Okay, that's a first. Strange. See something new every day, I guess. So, what were you looking to commission? What were you wanting to potentially purchase? And as she's talking, you can see she's grown a lot more nervous. She's just constantly glancing in your direction, Temple, expecting something bad to happen.
I remain completely inanimate, stood as still as a statue.
Well, I have this cloak. As you can see, it's quite a fine cloak of displacement. You see all the fangs and teeth and everything that are on it? We'll have some more fangs and teeth and talons here. And I was hoping you could add them to it.
Is this like some sick kill count?
No, it's just for decoration. Really.
I think it's a cultural thing.
Okay, and how many additions would you like to your collection?
4 talons and 10 teeth.
14.
And don't just add them willy-nilly all over the place. I want, it's got to look.
It has to have some kind of decorative pattern to the talons and teeth.
Perhaps a bit of gold embroidery, maybe?
Like gold lining or...
Yeah. Maybe not a lining, just make it look good. Can you do that?
I will most definitely try to.
Didn't you also want pockets, Neftari?
Well, yes.
Pockets for the storing of things such as teeth and gold.
Yes.
Okay, pockets are a lot simpler to do. That I should be able to do, no problem.
I want some pockets which the thieves can't find. Stealth pocket.
Stealthy pockets.
Jeez.
And she kind of just like
don't
leans over on
stealthy.
the desk. She leans over on the desk, and you can see that she's like trying to think of some kind of design in her head. How long do you want to part with your cloak for?
Not long, but as long as it takes.
I mean, it shouldn't be too difficult to attach some pockets to your cloak. If you could part with it for 24 hours.
Yep.
I could easily have that set up and make the pockets less than noticeable to people that may be looking to have their sticky fingers get at it.
Perhaps internal pockets or something. The ones that are harder to get at without being noticed.
Depends on who you're going up against.
What about those sort of enchanted pockets?
You're talking about extra dimensional spaces?
Yeah. My friend used to have a bag of holding, but he's not with us anymore, and it was bloody handy.
Now, extra dimensional spaces, they take... Well, it depends on how big of a size you're looking to make an extra dimensional space. If you want to make your pockets extra dimensional, there'd be a price to it, and it would take about 3 days for me to complete that. If you want me to complete the pockets themselves and the attachments of your talons and teeth, and then the enchantments of the extra dimensional spaces to the pockets, you're looking at probably 3 days of work.
And the price?
The price you'll be looking at about 3,000 gold pieces.
Okay, that's acceptable.
Perhaps you could make it faster for more gold.
If I
Make it a priority.
If I make it faster for more gold, the enchantments may not take. They may be unstable. It could be dangerous. I do not rush enchantments.
And can I pay you for that now?
Well, pay in advance. Yeah, of course.
And I go into my coin purse and take out 3,000 gold.
Okay, yeah, deduct the 3,000 from your character sheet. And she as you're counting it all out and placing it all down in piles, she begins moving them all into a small lockbox. Watching you count it all out as you do. After she's satisfied with the amount, she just places her lockbox away in a she opens up a drawer and just drops the box in it, and it just and vanishes. No sound, nothing. She just closes the drawer. And the cloak, please.
You go.
Okay, and make sure to unequip your displacer cloak in your on your character sheet, as you no longer have it with you. You pass it over to her, and let's see here. That's cocked. Okay. Okay.
Okay, I'd like to wander off down the shop with my chest and transfer a good deal of gold from the chest into the coin purse. But try to do it out of sight.
Okay, yeah, as you does anyone else actually have any business to conduct before we press on with this?
Yeah, Talar had a question for her.
Yep, go right ahead, Talar.
So I have a much more simple request.
Mm-hmm.
Are you able to make a sling that would go across my chest to hold a small item about the size of my hand? And she holds her hand out, and she's also at the same time holding the egg encased in some pieces of her armor up against her chest, kind of indicating where she needs it to be. Are you able to do this? And you mentioned enchantments. Is there a way to create a warming space in this small pocket?
May I see that? And she kind of waves to the bundle of your armor. That's holding the Hydra egg.
Talara looks a little bit nervous, but she very gently pulls it away and lifts aside
You see
one of the pieces of leather.
The halfling's very gentle in taking it from you and just looks it over. She places it on the table and kind of flattens out your armor. You get a little worried that she's now exposing the egg to the elements, but she just pulls out a little device from her belt and just draws it out and starts putting little markings down, wraps the device around the egg very gently and puts even more markings down and such, and then grabs a pen and a sheet of parchment from off to the side and starts just taking notes. Once she's done, she very carefully bundles up the armor around the egg again, lifts it up and passes it to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I've made something similar in the past for carrying children, but not eggs. No, I've got the dimensions now. I should be able to make something that would be suitable to cover the egg. I'll even add, I won't make it just like a sling that just holds the egg. I'll even add a cover to protect it further from the elements. And an enchantment. I should be able to put an enchantment on the leather itself to imbue it with a gentle heat. like a gentle torch flame. It shouldn't be too hot to damage the egg or even injure yourself from the heat. But I could certainly see about doing something like that.
About how much would that cost?
With materials and the enchantments, it'd be 750 gold pieces.
I'll get that.
For the what?
I'll get it. Don't worry.
Again.
Mhm.
Very well.
Okay. Well, I'm assuming you all know each other, so I have no
Yes.
qualms with this. So yeah, Nethtar, if you want to go ahead and deduct another 750 gold pieces from your gold total.
I've not got that in my main equipment list. That would be in the chest.
Okay, I will go ahead and deduct it for you. Because I still have the details here. My D&D Beyond has been messing up recently, so I've not actually been able to update it on your thing just now. So minus 750. Cool.
Thank
That's
you.
that
I'm
updated.
sorry.
She reaches into the same drawer and pulls out the lock box and pours the 750 gold pieces in, and again drops it into the drawer. That makes no noise as she closes it. I should be able to get all this done in the next 3 days. So if you're not leaving Stilben in that time, I must certainly come back, and this will hopefully be ready for you.
Well, I'm sure he wouldn't leave without his cloak, so I'm certain we will be back.
I don't suppose you'd be able to swap a bit of gold for perhaps some platinum? Or...
Well, maybe. Just kind of like, again, opens the drawer, but actually pulls out a small sack instead of a lot box and just opens it up. Like, how much platinum are you looking for exactly?
Well, probably as much as you have.
Just kind of like, looks into the sack itself. I feel like it's like reaches in like 50 platinum pieces in here.
Is that worth in gold? 5,000 gold?
That's 5,000 gold pieces.
Okay. Rifle through my chest and pull out 5,000 gold.
Okay. Let me update this again.
I can add 50 platinum to my purse.
Add 50 platinum to your purse, yes. Remember, one platinum is 100 gold pieces. Okay. Is there anything else that you guys would like to do in the Weave at all?
That would be it for me, I think.
Just here, platinum's 10 gold pieces.
Are there any elaborate hats around?
By default, D&D, yes, it says 10, but for my world, 1 platinum is 100 gold pieces.
Great.
GM, are there any hats in this store already made?
There's no hats that are on display that are already made, but you can inquire if there's any in the back.
Do you have any hats?
I have many hats that have been made in the past that have not been picked up. What kind of hat are you looking for?
I don't know anything about hats. The most fabulous hat you have, please. And could somebody please buy me it? I don't carry gold.
Talara leans over and says, "Find one with a big fluffy feather."
I was going to say that.
I will.
Pink ostrich feather.
I think I have something like that is perfect for this. And she kind of like spins around on her stool and hops off, and she practically vanishes from your line of sight as she does so. About 5 minutes pass, and you just see the bobbing of a very large white feather, as like that approaches from the back room. You just hear her go up, and she hops onto the stool and spins around, and there before you, Temple, is a very large, very flamboyant, it's a burgundy in color. Looks to be made of some kind of felt-like fabric. Very very long. It's got it's a very rounded at one end, which drops down into a point. And as you look over, you see that there is one very large feather that is attached to the hat itself.
This looks wonderful.
So much.
No, I don't think any of us could get away with wearing that hat. Apart from you.
I think it's perfect.
Perfect. You hear that? It's perfect. I've always wanted to wear a hat.
That'll be another 5 gold pieces if you have it.
I'll pay for this one.
Okay.
Pulls out 5 gold pieces.
Go ahead and deduct the 5 from your equipment, and she just like pops away in the side, and you now have a burgundy coloured, like it's essentially musketeer hat.
If I was biologically capable of it, I assure you, I'd be smiling right now.
Yeah.
And
I figured
and
as
how much AC does that add?
0.
Okay, I'll just add that on to my current number.
Talar reaches up with one hand and just kind of adjusts it slightly. Yeah, that's perfect. And she turns around and she's just giggling.
I fucking hate you guys so much.
I'm a gigantic caped suit of armor, wearing a wonderful hat. That's all people see of me, then I shall be remembered. Time to come. And I'm going to very excitedly walk out the shop to show the world my fabulous new look.
Harry is feeling somewhat envious. He now has no cape and no hat.
You have no hat either, Neftari? Of course. We should get matching hats.
I don't think I could pull that off.
Okay, is there anything else you guys are doing?
I think that's it for the moment, at least for me.
Temple, Nathari?
No, although I want a hat, I don't have the bravery to wear a hat like that.
Not bravery that allows me to pull this off, it's courage.
It's like you're 7 foot tall, and nobody will dare saying anything that would upset you.
Right, and with that, we're going to move on to Victorilas. So, Victorilas, as you've split away from the party, you spend about 15 minutes walking down the road, heading towards like the seagulls that are flying overhead, and just following the trail of workers that seem to be transporting like boxes of trade from materials and ores to stones to meats, fish, and all sorts. Yes, that's almost perfect there, Talon. You head along, and you do eventually come across to a large harbour dock. Multiple docks. Some larger ships are moored there. Some smaller ships. And just off to your far left, you can see the large tower that was the airport, where some of the airships that are being commissioned for transport are in dock as well. So, what would you like to do?
I'm going to look around for anyone who looks like a trader or someone who's dealing in goods. Someone who's intentionally there to either sell or buy things. No matter what they are.
Yeah, you look around. You can see that there aren't that many stalls or anything kicking around. And no one seems to have set up like anything for selling on the harbor itself. The harbor area seems to be reserved only for the transport of goods to and from Stilbin for import and export. But as you look around, looking for someone who you might be able to give you further direction, you can see what looks to be he's a small male dwarven individual who's actually set up on stacked wooden boxes. You can just hear his voice calling out, and he's just pointing from people to people, well, from person to person, who are each carrying different things from a rope to boxes, and he seems to be some kind of foreman who's given direction to the people in the harbour. This is directly adjacent to the larger of the ships that is currently docked.
Perfect. I'll head in his direction. My good man, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Aye, what can I do for you?
You're a little unfamiliar with the area. A friend of mine has come into some good fortune and finds himself somewhat lumbered with a large quantity of gold. I wondered whether a man such as yourself would be capable or have knowledge of someone who could maybe change it into something a little more manageable, a little more less cumbersome, shall we say, for carrying around. We know that thieves are rife in the city. We'd
Aye,
hate to
that's
see
right.
him,
There are thieves that are rife in the city, and going ahead and announcing to the world with these thieves probably listening into our conversation that your friend has amassed a large sum of gold probably isn't the brightest thing to do.
I'm not the brightest of people, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I can tell. Gil, not there. That way, you fucking moron. Sorry.
Not at all. I clearly see you're busy. So, as you can probably understand, risks of carrying a large chest of gold around with you would attract a lot of unwanted attention.
That
Could
would
you
be the
suggest
case.
anywhere that
I mean,
someone who could possibly change that into platinum or some other valuable good
Yeah.
that would?
your best bet is to probably go about the different stores and taverns and such and see if anyone has any platinum available to exchange. But more than likely, people are just going to turn around and tell you to fuck off. No one's going to pass over a few platinum pieces, yes, that are worth a lot, but it's easier to stash 5 platinum pieces than it is 500 gold pieces. So unless
Yes.
your friend's looking to go from place to place and pay them 100 gold for a single piece of platinum and just devoid everyone of their platinum, then you're not going to find much here. Your friend's best bet is to fucking dump it in the swamp somewhere and bury it and just memorize where it is for future use.
Ah, yes, like a pirate of sorts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you could say it like that. X marks the spot and all that.
Yes, I remember stories from my childhood. Well, I appreciate your help and advice, and keep an eye out for those thieves, won't you?
Aye, of course. I'll be keeping an eye out for thieves. In fact, not offense meant, but you kind of look like one yourself.
Ah, see, blending in with my surroundings, so as not to arouse suspicion. I give him a wink and a nod.
It's just kind of like gives you a sly grin, like, aye, you keep doing that, boy. Anything else I can help you with before, I need to get back to my work?
No, you've been most kind. Thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Could you go ahead and roll me a perception check, please, Vitorlis?
Yeah.
Well, as you glance around from speaking to the foreman, you can see that there are There's a few individuals that catch your attention as they're looking in your general direction. Few male, few female of different races. At this distance, you can't quite make out what race they are. Definitely human, elf, or half elf. But from what you can gather, they may have been eavesdropping on your conversation and know of a large sum of gold. They may just be looking in your general direction at this time. You're not 100% sure.
Excellent. Is there like a harbour inn or something that's close by?
With the 12, there isn't anything nearby. Most of the buildings around seem to be like storage units for anything that isn't perishable, like fabrics and ores and rocks and such that like need to be exported. But nothing that seems to be of like needs for housing people, like no inns or taverns or anything nearby.
Okay, I'll take a glance around and I'll put my hood up and continue on my way. I'm gonna try and find somewhere to just sit and have a drink while I wait for my friends to arrive.
Okay. As you you head back, there doesn't seem to be like any inns or taverns for quite a while actually. There's no signage for the most part as you head back the way you came for a solid 10 minutes. It seems to be like immediate storage areas on the harbour itself for the import and export before moving to kind of residential for the work hands and the foreman of the harbour itself. Before you actually get close to where you split ways with the rest of your companions, you see the weave and you see the other stores and stalls nearby as you make about 15-20 minutes away from the harbour. It's actually about this time where you notice a very, very familiar looking warforged step out from the weave, sporting a very, very obvious burgundy like hat that has a very large white feather protruding from the side of it.
Fists are at my hips and I'm standing.
And Talara's still giggling, walking behind them.
By the gods, Temple, what is that thing on your head?
He asked for a hat. I suggested one with a fluffy feather.
Subtle.
It's
Extravagant.
Yeah,
It draws the attention.
that it does. It's quite distinctive.
I'm trying to hide this chest of mine. Hiding it behind my shield or something like that?
Yeah, you could like have the your arms like crossed, holding the handles of the chest, and on your offhand the shield strapped to your forearm, which it doesn't completely block the view of your chest, but it does somewhat obscure it. Unless people were properly paying attention to like the bottom half of your shield, they would notice your chest is there.
Right. I trust you've done something to draw attention to yourself, and obviously now with him wearing that hat, it will not be hard to follow. I think we should move from here and head to Ermlet, the one of the best armorers I've ever seen.
Well, the harbour itself didn't seem to have too much activity going on.
We will need to return in 3 days' time for his cloak and my sling.
No doubt. Replacement hats for all of us, all matching.
I don't need a hat.
I've got a
We all have
fluffy hood.
capes. Let's all get hats too.
A hat won't fit under my fluffy hood. I'm not sure how a hat would work with this cape.
Well, that just means you don't need one either.
I'm glad to say, I think you're right, Tiller.
Well, when I'm the one getting invited to fancy parties, and you're all asked to step away, I'll see how we all feel about Temple's wonderful hat.
See, I'm getting a hat. Walk back to the shop. Now, has any more hats like the one my friend just.
And Talar's face foaming again.
You want to go back to the shop to get another hat?
I thought we'd just stepped out of the shop, so we're just going straight back and just asking for. We're not stood outside the.
Yes, you are just stood outside of the weave. So you're wanting to head back in, yeah?
Just shouting through the door. Have you got any more of those hats?
Yeah, you turn around and head back in, just poke your head into the door and call out, and the halfling just kind of glances up to you. Not in that exact design, but I could easily have a few more made up for you for when you collect your cloak.
It's okay. I wouldn't need one now.
Yes, please. One for each of us. That's 4 total. Thank you.
No, I don't need one.
As she hears the booming voice of Temple from behind Nethari, you just see her kind of like nod, and you just close the door behind you, realizing that she might be making 4 additional hats.
My only regret is that there aren't more of us to share the hats.
We are so marketing ourselves out to this town as Tug.
At the very least, it'll attract the attention of the Myriad. And the ladies is something I heard Neftari say once.
Yeah, that's what did happen now. I feel like, I'm not the one the ladies will notice first. Just walking along.
Oh,
like
I see. You're thinking strategy.
I'm walking along with a 7-foot suit of armor, and it's got a fantastic hat on its head, and they're not even going to look.
Don't you want the attention drawn away from you because of your giant chest?
Well,
Me?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, not at all. It's my role in battle. It's my strategy to draw all the enemies in, while you sneaky boys get them from behind.
So, where are you guys heading to now?
Back to the weaponry.
Heading back to Lost Armaments, yeah?
Yep.
Okay. So it takes you, it was Aramlos Blades, not Armaments. But it takes you about 20 minutes to make your way back through the busy streets of Stilben. You managed to make your way back to Aramlos Blades, where Nithari, you having you and Talar being within the building itself before, push open the front door and make your way in. Temple and Victorlas, I'm assuming you guys are following behind?
Absolutely, although I don't think I've been here before.
You have not, no. Victorlas, are you following behind as well?
Yeah, I've not been there either, so
No problem. You guys just kind of look a bit concerned as you initially enter the building, but as you do, you can see, like most other weapon shops, there are a multitude of different weapons and ammunitions that are scattered along the walls on different rests, ranging from your generic short, long, great swords, battle axes, hand axes, longbows, crossbows, and such, running along one side. Then on the other side, you can see different, more extravagant looking weapons, ranging from the likes of gems encrusted into the hilt and on the cross guard, runes etched across longsword blades and such. Running along the kind of centerpiece, it looks to be a longsword. The blade itself seems kind of like Suri, kind of like Suri's topaz dagger that he drew upon you. There is a it's a long sword. The blade itself seems to be almost translucent as you look upon it, and it seems to be made from some kind of gem as you both look upon it.
So, who fancies a weapon upgrade?
It's all very pretty. Is this the place you told me about?
Place has the elf bow that is for sale.
Do they perhaps have a shield?
As you are having your discussion, you hear the sliding of metal that's like the rotation of wheels in a track as a large door kind of slides open behind the front counter. Talar and Netara, you remember this as the almost a range essentially that Ermloth had built into her shop with a few targets at the back. Victorlas and Temple, you guys see Ermloth herself come out, a tall female elf. She walks back and spots the four of you, and Talar and Nathar, she gives you a smile and a nod before she, with the string of her bow, which Victorlas you immediately recognise from the a white body with the gold trim along the limbs of the bow itself to be an oath bow. She slings it over her shoulder and just walks out. Welcome back. It's good to see you again. I'm assuming these are your companions.
Yes, they are.
Well, welcome to Ermloth's Blades, where I'm pretty sure if you need an upgrade, I can get you an upgrade. What can I do for you?
One oath bow, please, for my friend.
My oath bow is not for sale, as I stated before.
We tried to tell them that.
A
Sure.
bow. I used to have one just like it. Where did you get it from?
I used to be like yourselves. I used to head around the realm and fight monsters and bad guys and get paid for it. And I was paid quite well. I came across some arsehole who believed that he was going to be the next best thing since sliced bread. And
Bread is sliced now?
bread has been sliced for a very long time, my metal friend. But yes, he believed to be the best thing since sliced bread. But I proved him otherwise, and when I drew my longsword from his chest and watched the life leave his eyes, I relieved him of the oath bow that he would no longer need.
Seems reasonable enough.
How else do you come across an oath bow other than killing the previous owner of the oath bow?
Well, for the most part, oath bows are... Well, you can create them, but it takes a very, very long time for the enchantment to take. You're probably looking at a good 10, 15 years for the enchantment to take, maybe. Or, well, like I did, relieve its, well, now previous owner of the bow. Some people collect them, some people use them. I kind of do both with mine. But no matter how much money you've managed to collect in the few hours that you've been away from my shop, it's not for sale.
I can understand that.
Did have some interesting items for sale. What was was it a sword that was 10,000 gold? What was that?
Lord.
That would be and like you visibly hear Talar kind of grumble and kind of glance away, and Eremloth kind of just glances up to you and
If you need to show them, you can. I will be over here. And she walks over to the corner somewhere just to look at something else.
this is it may be useful, it might not. Depends on your friend, of course. She reaches over and brings out a sheath longsword. Again, she draws it from the scabbard, and Temple and Victorlas, this is the first time you've experienced the moment she draws it, even like an inch from its scabbard, like everything in the room. Like, you could hear the hustle and bustle from outside, the wind on the windows, the odd creaking of floorboards and such as you shift your weight. But the moment the blade is drawn, silence. She fully draws the blade, and it looks to be like the blade itself looks to be like a crimson red metal. You look at it questioningly before you glance back over to Talar, and Talar, once again, you have that really sick, weakening feeling as the presence of the blade is kind of almost announced to you. Eremloth just kind of fully draws it, pops the scabbard down on the desk nearby, and just gives it a couple of twirls, spinning it around herself before just drawing her hand across the flat of the blade.
I know what this bow is, just based on what I can see or what I know from the past.
Well, it's not a bow; it's a long
Oh,
sword.
sorry, not a bow. I meant longsword. Yeah.
Go ahead and roll me a history check, if you will, Temple. 8. You've come across a multitude of different blades in the past from your time traveling, but you've never actually come across a blade that has just its presence has an adverse effect on a specific being or species. Eremloth kind of just glances over to you. This is well, to put it bluntly, a dragon slaying longsword. She kind of just gives it a couple more twirls before picking up the scabbard and just sheathing the blade, and you just hear it go clack back in place. And the moment it's fully sheathed, Talar, that feeling vanishes instantly, and the ambient sounds from around the shop and within it, like as you're shifting your weight, comes straight back.
You can hear a sigh of relief come from her, and she starts coming back towards the group again.
Spooky, isn't it?
I don't like that blade.
It's no wonder. I mean, it is designed to, well, slay your kind, after all.
I know.
What do you think?
Had the displeasure of fighting a dragon in the past. Nothing.
Yeah, we got
Though it was
annihilated.
never a fight we were. In all lose, he was tricking us. That certainly is something that would have changed the tides of that fight. And
You fought a dragon, came out in the other end.
it's
it
not
let-
as
It let you live.
I was not with them at this point.
And
It was
what
testing
co-
us.
It was testing. What color was this dragon?
believe it was a large, shining golden dragon. What was his name again, Victoralis? I want to say Ramon.
Not
Yeah.
I have a.
Wasn't Ramon?
Uh,
I'm going to check.
yeah. I don't know.
Memory.
The
Hey,
gold.
Remure. Remure, that
Remure.
was his name.
Yes,
Remure.
Remure is the gold dragon.
Ramonth
or
was the
Ramonth is
silver dragon.
That is correct. Yes. A gold dragon. Okay. I mean, I don't understand why you'd be like if a gold dragon was testing you, you'd have to fight it. But, I mean, okay.
It was actually a very fun fight. Our beast-eyed friend here summoned 8 horses, all in a perfect line.
How did
They were
that
all
work out for
immediate.
you?
They were all immediately destroyed.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Look of fear in their eyes as they sundered is something I'll never forget.
Well, if you have any inclination that you're going to be coming across anything other than metallic dragons, this longsword might be worth picking up. The enchantment itself is an innate +1, and whenever you land a hit on anything that is draconic in nature, so that be dragons, wyverns, naga, dragon turtles, dragonborn, dragovian, kobold, anything that is draconic in nature will take an extra 3d6 of damage.
There is a distinct lack of dragons on this continent, apart from the wild white one in the south. No?
Yeah, like I said before, the stories go that a lot of the dragons were like there are a few. Their dragons are few and far between. Most of the stories are made up since most of the most people don't really survive encounters with the dragons, but most of the chromatics have been almost like locked away. They've not been seen for a very long time, but I'm sure if you were to travel the entire realm, you'd probably come across one or two.
I can only
Whether you
imagine
survive it or not is that's a different question.
What do you reckon about the sword, guys? I mean, we could buy it for Temple, and he could just keep it for just in case emergency.
I'd have a problem carrying it. I imagine I'll only use it against very rare types of enemies, but seeing as we do have a little bit of a certain amount weighing us down, I mean, if you're gonna spend money,
And
but
If you use that, I won't be able to be near it.
how do you want me to let them see how it affects you, my lady, or would you rather me just not? And you
If
see
it
it.
helps
She puts her hand on the pommel itself and is ready to draw the blade.
If it helps them understand what it does, even without touching me, then
does it cause harm to you? If we were fighting a dragon, would you rather I had this, or rather I didn't?
Aramloth just half draws a blade from the scabbard. The room goes eerily quiet once again, and Talar, I need you to roll a Constitution save.
CON?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Unnatural 20. Surprisingly, it doesn't because you've experienced its effects multiple times now, and because it's been in such a short span of time, you're not used to it, but you feel like you're developing a resistance almost to its effect, but you still feel a little physically weaker in its presence, and as it Temple, Neftari, and Victoralis, as you turn around and take a look at Talar, that you can see that she's her eyes are starting to her eyelids starting to droop. She doesn't look steady on her too steady on her feet, and you can see that just the blade being half drawn from its scabbard seems to be having some kind of adverse effect on her. Not too serious, but it's having some kind of effect.
And she's putting all of her concentration on holding the bundle against her chest to keep that safe. That's her first priority.
Sheath
After-
the damn blade.
After a few moments,
Being
you
a-
just hear as the blade is fully sheathed in the scabbard. That sick feeling just fades instantly, Talar, before the ambient sounds come back into existence.
Question lies with you, I suppose, Talar. If we were fighting a dragon, and this would only be used if we were fighting someone of that nature, would you rather we had the blade or not?
We're just gonna have to keep
I
it steady.
feel if it's something that I were occasionally exposed to, I may become used to it, but in a dire situation where it is our only choice, I would deal with it.
Have anything else as spectacular as this? Something perhaps that has the same effect on demons?
Not
Or undead.
quite. Not quite, unfortunately. I do have an order in for such an item. Don't know when it's going to arrive, but a paladin may be able to use. Well, I would probably be able to wield it. Be quite a challenge, though. It is a great sword that I'm planning on bringing in. So I see you've got a shield there. You wouldn't be able to use that at all. So
See by the great axe, that's something I'm quite used to.
well, if you're still in the area in the next week or so, my order should come through, and I'll have it available. It's going to be more expensive than that the dragon slaying longsword. Quite a bit more expensive, actually. But if you're willing to wait and if you're willing to part with the gold, it'll be here for you.
Certainly. Well, Neftari, really, I mean, you're the man with the money. It's up to you, really. Would you rather go to the next shop over, see what we can do?
I'm
Or
gonna.
if you're looking to get rid of some money, perhaps we could grab that, although, to be honest, I don't like the effect it has on Talar. I'm not sure it'll be worth the losses in battle. It's hard to tell, really.
I
Not
think in the
without
long run, with what we're
experimentation.
facing, it would be better to have something that would have more of an effect towards what we're going to be dealing with.
See, that's where I have a sort of concern. Please excuse me, shopkeep. You might be confused by what I'm about to say, but if our enemies can resurrect the dead, even with dragons on our side, one of those dragons were captured and resurrected, I think we'd be in a bit of trouble.
Well, if you just give me a second, and she kind of like leans over to the side and pulls out a tome of sorts and starts looking through it as I check details myself, actually.
Can I sort of usher everyone to the side for a kind of a bit of a huddle for a second?
Out of earshot of the shopkeeper.
Yeah.
If you're doing that, I would like, if you're going to whisper to people, Thorlas, I'd like you to roll a stealth check.
Sure thing.
Unnatural 20. Yeah, no, you can take everyone away into the corner and drop your voice, and from what you can tell, she doesn't seem to be paying any of you any attention.
Okay, I'm not keen on this sword, but something tells me that we'd be better off with it than without it.
Of course, I'd never use it unless necessary. It wouldn't be more powerful than my other two weapons, unless we were fighting, well, draconic creatures.
It's also something that I could wield.
You don't have much in the way of specialty weapons, do you? That might be a good idea.
Well, this is something I'm thinking of asking you about next. Did you ask about a price previously?
10,000 gold. can afford it.
10,000. Yeah. Okay.
Here's a question. I mean, if we're going to be in battle with dragons on our side and you pull that, what's going to happen to those on our side?
All that if we didn't need to.
Well, this is the other thing that makes me hesitant about it. But like I say, we're in uncharted territory here, and something tells me that it's better to have and not need.
It's not like just having the blade causes this horrible effect.
I could keep it in my quiver, so it wouldn't. No one would be exposed to it unless I was to
Even know you had it.
equip it. It would be gone, an extra dimensional plane. So possessing it wouldn't be the issue.
I'm just trying to think of what would be most effective in the long run. This sword or another that would help us better back in
Why
Akraj?
not? Why not both? We don't have any other swords yet, and the issue here isn't necessarily that we need to pick the most optimal sword, but well, we can't go around carrying a chest of money. We need to turn that into something more usable.
Exactly. We could
We
always
don't-
sell the sword later.
We don't know the price of the other one, though.
No one will pay any. Well, we could always sell the dragon sword and to buy the other sword when it comes in.
Might not get that demon slaying great sword or whatever it was for a week even. If you think we can hold on to this much gold without losing it for an entire week, then
No, my
be
intention,
no argument.
My intention is for this chest to be absolutely empty, and so that when they come for the chest, they
will.
have it. But there will
Okay.
nothing inside it.
Let me
And you do make a point.
see what I can do about this, and I'm going to draw my 2 short swords, and I'm going to head over to Ermloth.
As you finish this conversation, bearing in mind that she has now been watching the group of you in the corner whispering, the moment you draw your 2 short swords, you just see a flurry of white, and you hear the telltale sign of the stretch of a bowstring as the oath bow has been drawn from her back, and she is now there with her longbow, with the oath bow now pointing an arrow in your direction, aiming it in your direction. I would
Victoralis, what are you doing?
put
I'm
those
gonna
away if I were
Put
you.
the 2 short swords down on the counter. I'm sorry, I believe you've misread my intentions.
When a group of people are in the back of my shop whispering to each other, and then one of them draws their weapons, it's a little concerning.
Why did you even draw them, Victoralis? Keep them in the
Sorry.
bloody scabbard.
We were
She
just discussing whether we could afford it or not.
She slowly removes the arrow from the bowstring and pops it in her quiver before putting the oath bow back over her shoulder. State your intentions.
Well, given everything that you have here, and these, much as they've served me well, may not be up to the task. I wondered if there's anything you can do to improve upon.
She takes the 2 short swords and glances them over. These are +1, if I'm correct.
Yeah, they're not bad, but as my friends have already mentioned, we're up against possibly something a little more specialized. Undead, demons, things of that nature. Not sure these will quite cut it, so to speak.
A pun.
It's a little
It's kinda just
sideways grin to Temple.
She kind of just glances over your shoulder, Victorialis, at Temple, and she has sports a grin of her own. Okay, well, and she just points over in the to the rack where all of the other more elaborate weapons are on display. There's a smaller rack that contains short swords. I'll take your pick. I've got better looking +1s than these. There's +2s. There's just kind of like looks over. I think there's 2 +3s there. But I mean, depends on how much coin you've got, of course, and whether or not you want to part with the 10,000 for the Dragon Slaying Longsword, or if you want to save your gold for when the greatsword comes in.
How much would that great sword be?
Well, I'd need to appraise it myself first. It cost me alone for the order 15,000 gold pieces. And, you know, I do have to make a profit, so it's going to be more than that, I can assure you.
Of course, I understand. It
But-
gives us an idea of what to consider.
That's true. But as a simple guess, you're looking at 17,000+ gold.
Okay. I thank you for that.
Of course.
Am I able to tell which of these swords are which, as far as...
Roll me an Arcana check. Yeah, just a flat Arcana check, actually. 23. You can tell that there's a group of 5 blades that are 5 of the short swords that are on display. That are they kind of have an aura of power around them from that is like emitted from the enchantment. But you can't really pinpoint exactly what they are. Of the 5 that are there, you'd have to take the 5 to Aramoth and have her tell you what they are, or spend 10 minutes casting Identify if any of you have it.
I'll take the ones of interest over to her. Could you
Of
tell me a
course.
little bit more about these? Which is the best of them?
These 3, and she splits the 5 into 2 groups. These 3 here are +2s. These 2 here are +3s. And the +2s they look like your run-of-the-mill short swords. However, like the blades are like polished to almost a complete mirror sheen. The pommel and the crossguard are all engraved with a multitude of different gems with some runic etching. The +3s, they've got more more of an elaborate design, like Celtic knots and such through the crossguard and on the pommel. It designs flared with gold and a multitude of different gems. Again, a mirror polished blade, but the blades themselves have draconic runic etchings are running along the blade. As you look at the blade themselves, you can't actually. It doesn't really make any sense, like what it's saying in Draconic. It is just a multitude of different words in line: fire, life, air, water. Like nothing that's like a coherent sentence. But it just seems that the words themselves are providing the extra enchantment to the weapons.
I'm certainly drawn to these. I love the markings on them. They're beautiful.
Draconic is an interesting language, that's for sure.
And how much are these 2 short swords?
Well,
Of course, I'd be happy to trade those existing swords in as part of the deal.
+1s to the +3s. Okay. I'll part with the 2 of them, with the trade for the +1s. 15,000.
Okay, I think I can just about cover it with what's in the chest.
If I recall, we've still got a hold of 3,700 gold, 90 platinum also.
Yes, from the Relic Hunter Guild, the vault. That's correct.
But I
It's all in
wouldn't
your
mind
quiver, isn't it? No, Victoralis?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, are you going to pass all that over?
No, I want to lift the chest up and pass that over, and any gold that's left over after the swords have been paid for, I'll stash in my. There probably isn't much left. I've converted 5,000 to platinum, and I spent some. On
Yeah, with this, at a quick glance, you'll if you divide it off and take 10-15 minutes counting it all out, but a quick glance at the remaining gold in the chest, you're looking at roughly 5,000 gold pieces left in the chest.
Will that fit in my coin purse or not?
Just and no more.
I just want the chest to be empty. Actually, I'll throw some of my silver pieces into the chest, so it sounds like it's
Okay.
got.
Yeah, you can do that. You can exchange the gold, the gold that you need for the purchase, with a lot of the silver pieces that you've got to make it sound like there's a lot more coin in there than what there actually is. But yeah, you'd be left with about with the approximate 5,000 gold pieces after this purchase, if you make it, of course.
So we're looking at buying the dragon sword and the 2 short swords.
And the 2 short swords. That's if you want them both, 25,000. If you want all 3, 25,000, and that's with your discount from trading.
What do you think, guys?
I think you need a weapon upgrade.
We've got 9,000 gold's worth of platinum. We've got 3,700 in gold itself. So that's just shy of 14,000 gold.
You put 10,000
Plus
of that with the 15,000 I've taken out of the chest.
You'd have
Okay.
You'd have plenty, but correct me if I'm wrong, but you're looking to see you were planning on heading up to Whitestone to inquire about that other oath bow I was telling you about, right? Well, if you want that, you're either going to have to pry the oath bow from the owner's cold dead hands, or you're going to need quite a bit of money before you get there.
Ah, it's all right. We'll just kill some more hydras.
I'm hoping that we'll be able to get the bow without any need for anyone dying.
I would hope so.
You don't think he'll accept some of these weapons we're buying now as a trade-in for his oath bow?
For an oath bow, I highly doubt it. Even though you've got like these 2 short swords plus 3s, an oath bow is a very, very rare longbow to come across.
Yeah, I'm still looking for mine.
Well, when you think about it this way, given the amount of dangers across the land and given our job, our profession, traveling as we do, without an upgrade now, we might not live to see that oath bow.
Which is
Very
true.
And then when we know there's an oath bow there and we arrive, then maybe we'll work for it.
Or they may just give us the oath bow.
I've
Or
heard
they
you
could
can
try
be
to
very
kill us.
persuasive.
You may be very persuasive, and hey, who knows? You might be able to persuade them into passing it over to you. But for the most part, I somehow doubt that.
I know I don't want to carry a bunch of cash around in this city.
You only live once.
That is not necessarily the case. I know a few people that have lived more than once.
You only live once, unless in certain cases. In other cases, such as if you're a cat, you live multiple times. Doesn't have as much of a ring to it.
Hey, tell us a bit more about these people that have lived more than once. What were they resurrected or?
Well, yeah, I mean, technically speaking, if you die and you're brought back to life, that's you living a second time, right?
Of all people, Neftari, you should know.
No, I'm just curious.
You brought someone back to life yourself. You.
Yeah, I do know a bit about it. Yes, I was just wondering what she knew about it. Thanks.
That was a hilarious time. You brought them back to life as an entirely different race.
That's what some of the resurrection spells do.
He was completely naked.
And then
His
rejected by his family.
His wife wasn't happy. Or his
Well,
kids.
that really puts a downer on the whole resurrection thing, doesn't it?
A little bit. I mean, depending on what happened, I can assume it was because it would have been reincarnation. The spell you would have used. Is that correct?
Is that right,
Yeah,
Neftari?
if they were rejected part of the family, that kind of paints to me that they didn't come back the same race they died as.
Yeah, I think he started off as an elf or something and came back as a dragonborn, which to me is an upgrade. I think, but
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. That'd be a bit of an upgrade.
Well, you're an elf as well. I mean, I think he was human, yes, and he came back as a dragon.
Well, I mean, even being an elf with a long lifespan, and I'm sure you'd agree with me here, friend, but I'd rather only live 80 years if I could spit acid at people. I think that'd be pretty badass.
Yeah, what
Well-
happened to that guy? He was going on some important mission, wasn't he?
Was, but we're not going to know anything about that until we get back home. Or at least
Right.
I hope not.
Enough is enough. Got business to run here, so decisions have got to be made. Yay or nay?
Hard sell.
We're
Money
buying all
or
three.
no money?
We've already counted the gold out, so
So I'm.
and the dragon blade.
So how much is Neftari contributing?
So you've got the 3,700 plus the 900 in platinum, so that's 4,600. You'd be contributing 15,400 gold pieces.
I've always contributed that. But I
Yeah.
already sort of accounted for what came out of the chest.
Yeah,
15.
you've kind of. Yeah, I've got it all here, so you don't need to worry about it. I'll let you know what's happened after the game.
In my equipment list as well. Got rid of all the silver out of the equipment and
It's in
5,000 gold.
it's in the chest. Perfect. So, if you give me a few seconds, let me do this here. Let's do it. Doorless, equip.
Oh, we didn't have an advert. We need to prepare an advert each week for these
yeah,
moments.
we need to have an advert.
This
Right,
episode is sponsored by QuickBooks.
Rockstar.
Sponsored
Oh,
by
dear.
Cavalier Hat Limited.
The item to your right is what this show is sponsored by.
Yeah.
Talar, what is the item to your right?
That would be my Cytec X55
And
Advanced
thank you
Control
to
Flight
Cytec
System.
Sponsoring this stream. The Cytec has over 5 buttons, each of which do multiple things. And maybe Talar's is working, but the one I bought last week sure as heck.
Mine has been working fine since 2000.
Thomas, if you could go ahead and update your character sheet in the bot, please. Thank you very much. As the gold is all counted, the +1 short swords are taken away, and the dragon slaying longsword and the 2 +3 short swords are passed over to you, Victorlas. They're now added to your character sheet for you. Aramoth
Cool.
just looks over to you. Well, it's a pleasure doing business with you. Also, while you were off doing your own thing, I was checking my compendium that I keep of all my items. Whenever someone brings me in something specialized like the dragon slaying longsword, I try and figure out as much information of them as I possibly can. You were talking about a necromancer potentially bringing back dragons from the dead. They're not dragons if they're brought back from the dead. They're undead. The dragon slaying longsword will have no effect on them. So you'll want to keep that in
Sure.
mind.
Yeah, good to know. Good to know.
We'll keep it in mind.
Anyway, I hope you enjoy the rest of your afternoon. If you have any other questions or concerns, or if you want any updates on the greatsword, don't hesitate to come back.
Thank you for your information and your business as usual.
Of course, and may the moon guide you.
You as well, thank you.
I'm going to put the dragon sword into the quiver, get
Mhm.
that out of the way, and yeah, I'll stash my nice shiny new short swords and give her a nod and put my hood up.
Of course. And with that, actually, we're going to take a quick break here. Actually, so
Lovely.
we've been going for just over 2 hours now. So let's take a quick break. Reconvene in probably 10 minutes. Bio break, get something to eat, something to drink. I can potentially mess with the exposure of my camera because it's actually kind of dark that I can see on the stream. But yeah, we'll be back in about 10 minutes. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Good for me.
And this is where in a few weeks or months we have a montage with nice music of all the amazing fan art that's sent in. Yay! Hello again, we're back. Right, so you guys have just left Moth's Blades. I'm assuming you guys are going to head back to the Topaz Blade for the evening, is that correct?
Yeah, for want of anywhere else nearer the harbour, yeah, we're gonna. I
And I'm
guess.
still trying to shield the
Mhm.
chest with my shield, trying to hide it as much as possible.
Cool. Can I get everyone, I want to get Discord back up because SLOBS kind of sucks. Can I get everyone to roll me a perception check, please? $12, $21, $10, and 11. Now, as you guys are making your way out, heading back to the inn, you guys keep a look around with the plan, like in the back of your head, that you're trying to draw people to you and to, by extension, Joga. Doesn't seem to be anyone following you that you can see. But you guys take the 10-15 minutes to make your way back to the Topaz Blade. You enter in, and Suri is there behind the bar, who just smiles and waves at you all as you enter, and just calls over to you. So is that another night you're looking for, aye?
Yeah.
I guess so. Getting quite comfortable here.
Well, if you open up a tab, maybe you won't need to pay me so much.
Sounds like a fine idea.
Really? You want to open a tab? I wasn't being serious, but if you want to, by all means, let's get this done.
We're definitely going to be hanging around here for some time, so it makes sense for us to call this our base of operations, at least for now.
The only thing that bothers me is we've been kidnapped or robbed from twice in our sleep while we've been staying here. Although I'm hoping that doesn't happen again.
Oh well, no offense meant, but I'm only one man, and my wife's only one woman. We don't really have the means of protecting every single one of our patrons from the expert thieves that roam this city and have the water guard under their thumb and in their wallets.
It's all right. I mean, we don't really have much in the way of money at the moment, and it's not like we stand out or anything. Temple adjusts his hat.
No, of course you don't stand out. That's definitely not a bright white beacon that's atop your dome.
So, do you know if there's anyone we could hire to kind of protect us in this city?
I mean, how would we? Are there any like rivals to these thieves? Is there another faction or something, another group that might offer us some kind of protection against them? I mean, like I say, we've been robbed and we've been kidnapped. I wouldn't like it to happen again.
Yeah, we could spend a bit of gold on some
There,
monsters or something to protect us. Yeah.
there are whispers of another guild kicking up, but I'm not too sure if you want either of them extorting you for protection.
Wow.
And who would they be?
Sorry, say that again.
And who would they be?
I don't know. They're Myrad or something. Again, just whispers. So I don't know. The Clasp, they've been here for fucking years and they do me nothing. But the whatever they want to call themselves, the new guys, they've, again, like I said, just whispers. I don't even know if they actually exist or not.
But if you should hear of anything, any way to contact them, as they say, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. We'd be interested to talk to them.
I highly doubt I will have any means of contacting them. But if I hear anything, I'll pass it along.
Much appreciated.
Right, let's get the beers in.
Well, first things first, whose name is the tab opening under?
King Victoralis.
Lord
King.
Neftari.
King Victoralis, eh?
Well,
It's
he's technically a prince.
it's kind of a nickname. They do it for fun.
Uh-huh. And the cloak, and the weapons, and your posture.
And the elaborate bodyguard. Temple tries to wink, but is biologically incapable.
That too, does actually serve that it might not just be a nickname. So are you actually of royal descent?
I wouldn't be
I actually
considered
don't. I don't
royal.
fucking care. I genuinely don't fucking care. Right. Whose name's the tab under?
Yeah, put my name down.
Great. Victoralis.
Or Vic, as we call him.
Is that with a K or a
Called
C?
him that. Double K.
Double K. Cool.
Smiley face over the eye.
K. Smiley face over the eye. No problem.
No.
Right.
Uh,
What are you having? With that, I'm assuming you guys are just wanting to have your evening meal, drinks, and everything before setting your plan with yoga in motion, yeah?
Yeah, we'll have
food
some
would
drinks
be
and
good
some
first.
Cool. You
Can
can.
we go sit up by the fire again, and I'll sit on my chest? How would do it?
Well,
We
you
will,
guys,
I'll
you
have
can
it
be
for
set
me.
up with your set up on your chest. You guys will be enjoying an evening of whichever drinks you would like and whichever meals you would like to have. Several hours pass by. Are you guys drinking heavy or not heavy? Like just a few drinks here or there, or are you guys like swimming?
Tara's not going to be drinking much. Maybe one or two, and then water the rest of
Okay.
the night.
I'm going to be assisting Neftari drink and Victoralis if he is drinking.
Okay, Victoralis.
Yeah, I'll he won't go overboard because
A few
he's
drinks.
got in the
Okay.
back of his mind that he might be busy later. So
Okay. And Neftari, need I ask?
Gallons.
To clarify, I'm not drinking, I'm helping Neftari drink
you
more.
physically can't drink. Neftari, go ahead and roll me a Constitution save. Six. Right.
Going to carry
As-
him to bed.
As you guys finish up your evening and it starts to the sunlight from outside starts to dim and gets quite dark outside, torches are starting to be lit and illuminating the inside of the Topaz Blade. You all need to assist Neftari in taking his chest of gold and silver up to the room that you guys are going to be using for your plan of action, as Neftari is barely able to stand, slurring his words, like almost throwing up everywhere as he has gotten super fucking wasted. But you guys managed to help him up the stairs. Neftari, you are now lying on the bed, sound the fuck asleep. Just waiting for everything to kick off. Whether you wake up or not, that is a very, very different question. But yeah, you guys take a strip of black cloth, which you manage to find. 2 seconds, guys. My apologies. The dog's just come into the room and is getting ready to go to bed. I will be 2 seconds while I get this sorted, because he's hurt his leg at the moment.
Oh.
I just have this wonderful image of Scott tucking in a dogger with a quilt.
Which is pretty much not too far away, I don't think.
Here we go. He's up on the bed. He'll make himself comfortable by probably kicking my quilt onto the floor at some point, as he normally does. Anyway, so you guys managed to pull some deep black cloth, which is taken from a few towels that were set up in the bathroom, tear it up and hook one up to the window. Who's going to be doing this?
Doing what? Sorry?
Setting up the signal, the black cloth out the window. Who's going to do that?
I guess I'll do that.
Okay, cool. Victoria, let's go ahead and roll me a perception check. 15. As you're setting up in the setting up the rag, you look out the window into the alleyway that is down below you. You can see the off to the left the stone wall that signifies the end of the alleyway. The barrels and crates that are put down out here as for storage, of the nearby inn and shops, but there doesn't seem to be anyone on the outside at the moment. But as you're closing the window, you put the cloth out and then just close the window down on it. It doesn't shut fully, it doesn't latch because it's got the cloth there preventing it from doing so, but with enough of a force it does hold steady on the within the window.
This is in the room with Neftari passed out, yeah, and his
Yes.
chest on the
You
floor.
guys, yeah, you guys are you guys have all gotten set up in the same room, waiting for Joga to come to your room as per the signal.
And Talara's setting up her little thing on the nightstand with the egg and the little lamp or whatnot to keep it warm.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
I'm going to move into the corner of the room, and I'm going to use hide in plain sight. And I'm going to spend a minute camouflaging myself in maybe a curtain or behind a cupboard, but find somewhere where basically
okay.
I can put myself.
Go ahead and roll me a stealth check at advantage then, please. 23. Yeah, no, you manage it. You pull some of the shift some of the furniture off to the side. Not so much that it would look really stupid to be in this awkward position. Just subtly enough so that where the furniture lies, it does nothing but cast a shadow over where you're going to be positioning yourself as sentry, and you still have line of sight on the window. But if anyone were to peek in, unless they had dark vision or potentially even true vision, you can gather that they wouldn't be able to see you.
Cool.
Okay, does anyone else want to do anything to prepare at all?
No, I'm good. I'm going to be in my sentry state, facing the window, facing the door, and obviously I can still see and all
No
that.
problem. Okay, so you guys are just staying stationary, your inanimate state. Neftari, go ahead and roll me another Constitution save, please. 19.
I would assume I'm snoring and cuddling the chest.
You're not cuddling the chest. The chest is on the floor while you're on the bed, but your hand is draped over the side of the bed, kind of just you can almost pat the top of the chest, making sure it's there. But you're just sleeping. You're sleeping off the alcohol that you've had. You're at a state now where, you'd be able to stand and maybe able to cast some spells if you absolutely have to. But there's no real guarantee. I would like Victorlas, Temple, and Talar to roll me perception checks, please, since Neftari, you are unconscious, essentially. 2 natural ones and an 18.
Talar's passing out.
Yeah, Temple, you're too focused on Neftari, just not too sure about whether the amount of alcohol he consumed was excessive or not. He may not be in action if something bad were to happen. Talar, you've been waiting for Joga to finally appear, and you're just slowly nodding off, trying to catch yourself and look around, alert, trying to make sure you're staying awake. Victorlas, as you're there in the back corner, you actually hear the sound of it's like wood splintering off in the distance.
Or as in outside off in the distance, or
Outside
inside?
off in the distance, yeah.
I'm gonna move like a shadow across the room to the window and see if I can see anything out of it.
Problem. As you look out into the window, go ahead and roll me a perception check again, please. And 11. Yeah, no. As you glance outside, you can see what looks to be several robed individuals that are down in the alleyway, and there is another single individual who is down, who has just crashed into a set of boxes, seemingly being attacked by a multitude of different individuals. If you just allow me a few seconds, I need to drag this along because Roll20 is a pain in the arse. There we go, that'll work. There you go. So, he is over there. That is what you can see at the moment. There are several individuals, 7 in total, with another individual to the far south of you, all seemingly in some kind of fight.
I'm gonna nudge the others awake. I'll try Neftari and see if he comes to life, but Temple, Talar.
What's going on?
Did you see something?
Yeah, I think we may have sprung the trap, and I think Jurgen might be outside, and he looks like he might be in a little bit of trouble.
Get your hands off my gold! Bugger up! Bugger
I'm
up!
going to dive heroically out the window on top of one of them.
Oh no. Oh, that didn't take long.
Okay, go ahead, Temple, and roll me an acrobatics check. 17. Yeah, no, you dive out the window from where you're positioned. You dive out at an angle, and you are actually able to drop basically on top of this individual here, making quite a bit of a distance.
Is that breaking through the window?
Yes, it is shattering through the window.
At which point I look over and go, shit, that's going on my tab.
You take 14 points of bludgeoning damage as you drop the 30 feet to the ground.
13 or 14 was it?
14 points of bludgeoning damage as you drop 30 feet to the ground. And at that point, with it being 10:45 at night, and I don't want to get into combat just now because people are going to have to go here soon, unfortunately, I think we're going to call that for the evening.
Oh. Did I land on top of the guy?
You landed on top of the guy, so he also took the 14 points of bludgeoning damage. But for now, at that, we're going to call that for the evening.
I'm imagining this flying squirrel belly flop move straight onto the guy. Splat! Hi! Crunch.
Cannonball!
Stood up. It's impressive.
But yes, that's where we're going to call it for tonight. Next week, it's going to be same time, same place, 8 p.m. British Summer Time, which I believe should be about 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the people in the United States. Unfortunately, at the moment, we're not running as long as we normally do. It's only a few hours, because with jobs and everything like that, some of us are up tomorrow super early, so we're going to have to cut it a little short. Normally, at times we can run on for an extra hour or so, but time being as it is at the moment, we're unfortunately unable to.
Which is understandable. You know, work life unfortunately comes first.
Real life is always a priority over a game at any time, unfortunately. Well, not unfortunately, but you know.
Speaking of work, I am working next Sunday, so I will try to be on as quickly as I can, as usual.
Of course, there is absolutely no rush. If you're like 10, 15 minutes late, then you know we'll just have to deal with it. But
Yeah.
as of next week, prepare yourselves, because the moment we start the game, I'll be calling out for a roll for initiative.
Dun
Woo!
dun dun.
Dun dun dun. Combat straight away.
What the situation be with Neftari? Is he sober enough to?
You're awake and you're aware of what's happening. I'll figure out what the situation is with Neftari for next week.
Say his first spell would probably be to roll restoration on himself or something.
Wait, roll what on himself? I completely missed that.
That's a restoration. Would that
Restoration, create a restoration. Okay, I thought you said something completely different there, and I'm not going to repeat what I thought it was in my head. That's for fucking sure. Anyway.
Brokenness though, or lesser restoration? He's supposed to cure poisoning and paralysis.
Yeah, no, like you'd be able to cast lesser restoration on yourself to cure yourself of alcohol poisoning, definitely. But anyway,
But next week.
That'll be for next week. For now, however, we are going to, like I said, we are going to call it for this evening. I'd like to thank anyone and everyone who has come and joined us for this evening. not the most glorious comeback that I've attempted, but hopefully it was better than nothing, because now I actually have a something to do on during the week that isn't Elite Dangerous. That's for fucking sure. I will be getting back into that at some point as well, so more shit throughout the week. Hopefully in the next week or so there's going to be a change of scenery as I displace from here and cast my own Mordekainen's magnificent mansion and move elsewhere.
Congrats.
Thank you very much. But yeah, we'll have a lot more D&D, we'll have a lot more Elite Dangerous, we may have other games depending on whether my potato can play them. But yeah, thank you all for coming in, whether you've stuck us out the entire way through or you've just come in and checked us out for a little while. Every little helps. I just quoted Tesco, I believe, but meh, it's greatly appreciated. Adam, David, Evelyn, and Diana, thank you again for sticking with my bullshit throughout the night, because you know it's always fun to hear me talk for hours and hours on end. But I hope you, the players, and I hope you, the viewers at home, have all enjoyed. And we will pick this up again next week on Sunday.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Cheers, Scott.